my fiancé said. I'm moving in with Anthony. We're having a baby together. I reply, best Reddit. Please stay with me as I tell my story. And please, do not forget to support our channel by subscribing to our channel, liking our videos, and sharing your loved one. Your support means the world to us. Now to our story. MPO. My fiancé came home late with trembling hands, dropped a pregnancy test on the counter, and said, I'm moving in with Anthony. We're having a baby together. I replied, if you're moving in with him, I hope he knows what you've done. I just stood there frozen. My chest felt hollow. Her voice echoed like it wasn't real. We had been together for 5 years. 5 years of building something. We were 2 months away from our wedding. I had just signed papers to buy a house we picked out together. Every photo still hanging on the fridge, every plan we made, it all cracked in that one moment. I asked her to explain. She just stared at the floor, silent. Her hands shook slightly, but she didn't look sorry. Just tired. I think part of her wanted me to scream or fall apart. But I didn't. Not yet. I'd noticed changes for a few months. Passwords were suddenly private. Her phone always upside down. Late nights at work turned into overnight stays. When I brought it up, she'd laugh it off or say I was being insecure. I believed her because I wanted to. Because love makes you blind when you trust someone too much. Anthony was her coworker, the one she always said was annoying. The same guy she promised I never had to worry about. And now, not only had she lied to me, she was carrying his child. I looked at the test still sitting there like a slap in the face. She didn't even try to hide it. I wanted to say something cruel, something to hurt her the way she hurt me, but I knew it wouldn't make a difference. She was already gone. So I just said those words. If you're moving in with him, I hope he knows what you've done. Because what she did went beyond cheating. It was betrayal wrapped in months of lies. And I wasn't just angry, I was empty. Numb. She packed a bag that night. I watched her go. No begging. No tears. Just silence. She didn't even ask me to forgive her. Now the ring sits in a drawer. The wedding invitations are in the trash. The house we dreamed of together is now just mine. And as for Anthony, well, I have a feeling his world is about to get turned upside down too. But that's another story. For a long time, everything felt perfect. Sunday mornings meant pancakes and music playing while she danced around the kitchen in her oversized hoodie. We had inside jokes no one else understood. Our friends called us the solid couple, the ones who had it all figured out. I believed them. But perfect doesn't disappear all at once. It unravels slowly. It started with her phone lighting up at midnight. I was half asleep, and she reached over so fast you'd think it was on fire. The screen read, "Work emergency, Anthony." She saw me glance and laughed it off. "It's nothing, he's annoying," she said. I wanted to believe her, but that message became a pattern. Not just one night, almost every night. Anthony this, Anthony that. Suddenly, she was pulling overtime with him. Group projects, deadlines. Always some reason to stay late. When I asked if it was odd to be texting a coworker so much after hours, her smile disappeared. "You're being paranoid," she snapped. "He's just my friend. Why are you acting insecure?" I tried to shake it off. Maybe I was overthinking. But the jokes started fading. The pancakes stopped. The girl I fell in love with began to feel like a stranger. One who guarded her phone like it held the cure to something I couldn't touch. So I stopped asking questions. I started watching. I downloaded a basic app to sync her phone's messages to a spare tablet. I told myself I wouldn't check unless something felt wrong again. It took 2 nights. She had called saying she was stuck in traffic after a late meeting. But that tablet buzzed while I sat on the couch. One message from Anthony. "Last night was amazing. I still can't believe you're mine." Another. "He suspects anything?" My heart stopped. Then came the photo. Them in bed. Her smiling like I hadn't seen in weeks. Her legs wrapped around him, the bedsheets I'd picked out in the background. I stared at the screen for a long time. The worst part wasn't even the betrayal. It was the calm. The realization that the person you love doesn't exist anymore. I didn't confront her. Not right away. That night, when she came home and kissed me on the cheek like nothing was wrong, I just smiled back. Not because I forgave her, but because I had a plan now. She thought I didn't know. But I did. And I was planning my own reveal. It was a Wednesday afternoon when I finally opened the full chat log between her and Anthony. I'd been putting it off, maybe hoping there was still a version of the story that didn't end with betrayal. But deep down, I already knew. What I didn't expect was how cold they were. How cruel. Her messages weren't just flirty, they were mocking. "He still thinks I'm working late," face with tears of joy. "I swear, he'd cry if he ever found out." "Poor guy," Anthony replied. "Let him cry. He has no idea who you really belong to." I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. I kept scrolling. It only got worse. "Sometimes I feel guilty," she wrote. "But then I remember how boring he is in bed." They weren't just lying to me. They were laughing at me. I wanted to throw the tablet. I wanted to scream, call her, drive to wherever she was and confront her. But instead I sat there. Silent, breathing slow. Something in me shifted. I started taking screenshots, hundreds of them. Every insult, every lie, every joke they cracked behind my back. Each one a piece of evidence, not just of the affair, but of who they really were. Then came the betrayal that stung even deeper. Some of my friends knew. There were subtle hints in old texts, vague replies, cancellations. One of them even warned her when I started asking questions. She replied with, "Don't worry, I've got him wrapped around my finger." I was done being wrapped. The old me, the trusting, loyal guy, died that day. In his place, something colder, sharper, more deliberate was born. I didn't want a dramatic confrontation. No yelling, no tears. That would give them closure. I wanted to take my time. I began cutting strings, quietly, canceling joint accounts, transferring funds, securing the house under my name, contacting a lawyer, removing her as a beneficiary, preparing the wedding cancellation, but not sending it yet. Every move was calculated, strategic. I even played the loving fiancée a little longer. Let her lie to my face while she dug her hole deeper. People say heartbreak breaks you, but it didn't break me. It built something inside of me, stronger, more focused. I stopped asking why. I stopped needing closure. I had a new purpose now. Not revenge out of hate, but justice. Calm, methodical, permanent. They thought I was broken. They were wrong. She thought I didn't know. That was my first move. I smiled when she came home. I asked about her day. I cooked her favorite meals and kissed her goodnight, all while knowing every lie she told. It wasn't weakness. It was preparation. I started keeping records. Every text I found, every suspicious receipt she left lying around, every date and time she claimed to be working. I took photos of everything, quietly, calmly. Every piece of evidence was a brick in the wall I was building around myself. I closed our joint account the same week, opened a new one in my name, redirected my paycheck, transferred the money she didn't notice was gone. She was too busy texting Anthony about weekend plans. I smiled and nodded while she made up another work trip. One day, I mentioned I'd run into someone who said Anthony had a reputation. I told her I overheard that he wasn't exactly faithful. Her eyes narrowed. "From who?" she asked. I shrugged. "Just some talk." I watched her face carefully. She said she didn't care. "People talk," she said, brushing it off. But she got defensive too fast. That told me everything. She wasn't in love. She was just in deep enough that the truth didn't matter anymore. So I pushed a little further. I made sure word spread among mutual friends. A quiet rumor about Anthony and another girl from their office. Just to see what she'd do. The next day, she came home unusually sweet. Brought takeout. Cuddled closer. Played the part of the perfect partner. It was fake. She was trying to make sure I still believed her lies. I let her think it worked. I wasn't mad anymore. I was strategic. She had no loyalty left. Every test I gave her, she failed. Not just with me, but with the people around us. I found out she'd been lying to her best friend too, pretending she was torn, while secretly apartment hunting with. The petty part of me wanted to blow it all up right away. But I didn't. I wasn't done yet. There's a strange power in letting someone think they're getting away with something. She didn't realize I was undoing her world piece by piece, quietly making sure she'd walk into a future where nothing was left the way she expected. She gave up on honesty, so I gave up on mercy. She cheated on me, so I cheated the system. The day after I confirmed everything, I stopped being her fiancé. I became her quiet undoing. No shouting, no drama, just action. First, I called the landlord. The lease was under my name. I told him she'd be moving out soon and requested her removal. He didn't ask questions. I changed the locks a week later while she was working late. Next came the wedding. I contacted every vendor, venue, florist, catering, photographer. I canceled it all. Some deposits were refundable. Others weren't. But I didn't care about the money. I cared about the message. Then I reached out to friends and family who had already sent gifts. I explained calmly and professionally that the engagement had ended. Most were more than willing to have their gifts returned or redirected. A few already knew. Some had guessed. Our shared bank account was easy. I logged in and transferred every cent to my private one. I even printed the statements, highlighting all her personal expenses she'd tried to hide. Dresses, hotels, Uber rides at 2 a.m. But then I found something worse. While sorting through financials with a lawyer, we found a credit card opened in my name. I hadn't authorized it. She had. She forged my signature to buy furniture that was now sitting in the apartment she shared with Anthony. That crossed a line. We filed fraud charges immediately. My lawyer helped me freeze her access to anything tied to me, accounts, insurances, assets. I flagged her on credit monitoring system. Every door she thought was open slammed shut. Then I prepared a single envelope. Inside, a copy of the fraud report, evidence of her forged signature, screenshots of her affair, and a formal cease and desist letter from my lawyer. On the front, I wrote just one word: goodbye. I drove to the apartment she'd moved into with Anthony, left it on the doorstep. No knocking, no text, no drama, just quiet, final consequences. I heard through someone later that she came home, opened it, and didn't come out for hours. Let her sit with that. She thought she'd stolen my trust, my future, my dignity. What she didn't expect was that I'd take back everything she ever tried to take from me, and more. She thought I was the fool in the story. Turns out I was just the one who wrote the ending. Her mother used to call me the son she never had. We were close, closer than I was with my own parents. She'd message me with recipe ideas, holiday plans, random jokes. So when I found out her daughter had been cheating on me, it hurt twice as much. Not just the betrayal, but knowing it would break her mother too. But she deserved the truth. I didn't send a long message. No explanations. Just a single zip folder titled, "Before You Believe Her." Inside were screenshots of the messages between her and Anthony. The photos. The timelines. No spin. No edits. Just proof. Her mom responded an hour later. "I'm so sorry. I had no idea. You didn't deserve this." Then I sent the same folder to a few others, our closest friends, some of her bridesmaids, even our mutual friend who introduced us. Silence turned to outrage. One by one, people started texting me their shock, their apologies, their anger at being lied to. But I wasn't finished. We had already sent out wedding invitations. I used the same list to send a digital update. A simple post. "Regretfully, our wedding has been canceled due to recent discoveries of dishonesty and infidelity. Thank you for your support during this difficult time." No names. No accusations. Just enough to make people wonder, and enough for those who knew to fill in the blank. Word spread quickly. Her image, the sweet, loving bride-to-be, fell apart overnight. People who had once praised her were now whispering about her behind closed doors. Some confronted her. Others just cut ties quietly. Then the fallout hit Anthony. His brother, who had invited us both to his wedding last year, blocked him completely. Turns out, Anthony was seeing someone else too. His own girlfriend found out through the screenshots I sent. She left him the same day. The web they built together collapsed fast. I started seeing it on social media. Her posts went from bright and bubbly to silent, then private, then gone. She tried to control the damage, but there was too much truth to hide. The whispers followed her everywhere. "She's toxic. She threw it all away. I can't believe she lied to everyone like that." People took sides, but most didn't take hers. Some said I was being petty. Maybe I was, but I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I just exposed the truth they tried to bury. She burned the bridge. I just made sure everyone saw the fire. Anthony called me at 2 a.m. I didn't recognize the number at first, but when I picked up, his voice was panicked. "Man, I know you probably hate me, but I need to talk to you." I almost hung up, but something in his tone made me pause. He sounded broken. "She left," he said. "Just packed up and disappeared. No calls, no texts. I don't know where she is." I didn't feel bad. Not at first. This was the guy who helped destroy my relationship. But I let him talk. She told me she was pregnant. I was ready to raise the kid. But now, I don't even know if it's mine. That part stopped me cold. "What do you mean?" "She was seeing someone else," he said. "I found messages. Some guy named Travis. I checked the dates. She was with him around the same time as me. So, she'd played both of us." Turns out, Anthony had been just as blind as I was. He really believed she left me to be with him forever. But to her, he was just another stepping stone. A distraction. A placeholder. A few days later, he asked to meet. I agreed, more out of curiosity than anything. We sat at a quiet bar, two men who'd been lied to by the same woman. He looked rough. No swagger. No smirk. Just tired eyes and regret. "I thought I was special," he admitted. "She told me you were cold, boring, that she was trapped." "She told me you were annoying," I replied. We both laughed, bitter and hollow. Then we got an idea. We still had our screenshots, the messages, the timeline. But now we had more. Anthony had proof she was with Travis too. More photos. More overlap. More lies. So we put it together. A digital scrapbook of her deception. We didn't post it publicly. That wasn't the goal. Instead, we sent it to every person still on the fence. Friends. Family. Even her boss, who had once vouched for her over time. People were shocked all over again. Anthony's ex reached out, thanking me for the truth. So did a girl Travis had been dating. Another one caught in the crossfire. She left wreckage everywhere she went. And now her name was attached to it all. I didn't think I'd ever sit down with Anthony, let alone share a drink. But betrayal has a strange way of making allies out of enemies. She lied to both of us. We just made sure the world finally saw who she really was. After everything she'd done, I wanted more than closure. I wanted consequence. So I talked to a lawyer. I laid everything out. The affair, the fraud, the emotional damage, and the financial loss. He listened carefully, nodded, and said something I didn't expect. "You have a strong case for small claims court." I had everything. Screenshots. bank records, even a few voice memos, recordings of her admitting to the cheating and laughing about it. "He'll never find out," she said in one. "He's too nice." Turns out being too nice had a legal advantage, so we filed. The claim was simple: emotional distress, financial manipulation, and unauthorized use of funds. It wasn't about revenge, it was about drawing the line. People like her think they can destroy lives and walk away smiling. Not this time. She showed up to court confident, wearing sunglasses inside, acting like she was above it all. Smirking at me across the room like this was some kind of joke. But that changed quickly. My lawyer spoke first. Calm, clear, precise. He walked the judge through the timeline. Then came the evidence. Her texts, her voice, her lies, played aloud in that silent courtroom. Her face turned pale. When it was her turn to speak, she tried to twist the story. Said I was controlling, insecure, that I was overreacting. The judge didn't buy it. He asked her one question. Did you or did you not open a credit line under his name without permission? She hesitated, then nodded. Game over. The judge awarded me full damages. She had to pay back every penny from the fraudulent card, plus compensation for emotional distress. She didn't say a word, just stared at the floor, jaw clenched. Then came the final blow. She asked the court to order me to return the engagement ring. Said it was rightfully hers. The judge laughed. It was a conditional gift, he said. That condition was marriage. No marriage, no ring. She left the courthouse red-eyed and shaking. I left with a signed court order, and the ring still in my pocket. Later, I took it to a jeweler. Not to sell it, just to appraise it. The man behind the counter looked at it and raised his brows. Nice cut, he said. Worth quite a bit. I nodded. That diamond, I told him, was worth more than her integrity ever was. After the court battle, I could have sat in the wreckage, could have stayed bitter. But I didn't. I made a choice. While she was busy raising doubts about me, I raised myself. First stop, the gym. It started as therapy, just an hour a day to sweat out the anger. But soon it became more. My body changed. My energy returned. I wasn't just healing, I was evolving. Next, I left the job I'd been coasting through for years. I found something better, something challenging, the kind of role that made me feel alive again, not stuck in someone else's shadow. And the house. I bought it. Alone. I changed the layout, painted over old memories, made it mine down to the smallest detail. Every room reflected who I'd become, not who I used to be when I thought she was the one. People noticed the change. Friends who hadn't seen me in months said I looked lighter, more grounded, happier. And I was. Then I met someone new. She wasn't flashy or fake. No hidden agendas. Just real, kind, and refreshingly honest. Our connection wasn't based on old wounds or rebound energy. It was something clean, something honest. I didn't tell her much at first. She never asked about the past. She focused on who I was becoming, not who I'd been. And just when I thought I'd finally put everything behind me, she reached out. My ex. The message came out of nowhere. Short, filled with fake warmth. Hey, just wanted to see how you're doing. I miss our talks. I stared at it for a while. Not angry, not emotional, just done. She thought she still had some piece of me to pull on. A string left uncut. She was wrong. I didn't reply. Didn't block her either. Just left it on read. The same way she left me when I needed honesty, loyalty. That same day, I posted a photo, standing outside the house, smiling, holding a mug that said New Beginnings. The caption was simple. Life gets better. People saw it. People liked it. I know she did too, because 10 minutes later, I saw her delete her message. Too late. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about growth, healing, becoming more than what someone tried to break. She lost me when I was still figuring myself out. Now, she wouldn't even recognize who I've become. And that's the real glow-up. She messaged me one last time. It had been months since we'd spoken. I thought it was over. She'd vanished from my life after the court case, after the fallout, after everything. But then, out of nowhere, can we talk? Just once. I need to explain. I almost ignored it. Almost. Curiosity got the better of me. We met at a quiet cafe across town. I didn't feel nervous. I wasn't angry. I just wanted to hear what she had to say, and close the book. She looked different, tired, worn out. Not the person who left me without a second thought. She barely made eye contact as she sat down. I made a mistake, she said softly. I thought I knew what I wanted, but I didn't. I was under stress. Everything felt like too much at the time. I said nothing. Just let her talk. I ruined the best thing I ever had, she whispered. You didn't deserve that. She reached into her bag and slid a sealed envelope across the table. There's something I need you to see, she said. I thought it might bring some kind of closure. Then she stood, grabbed her coat, and left. I waited until I got home before opening it. I expected a long apology, maybe a final goodbye letter. But inside was a paternity test. Positive. And the father, wasn't Anthony. It wasn't me either. It was a third man. A name I didn't recognize. Someone new. Someone else. I sat back, stunned. She had lied to everyone. Not just me. Not just Anthony. She'd built her entire escape plan on a fantasy, not even knowing who the father was. And now that her world had fallen apart, she was trying to come back with closure. But the truth was, the only closure I needed was already mine. She didn't want to fix anything. She wanted to feel better about herself. The letter wasn't a confession. It was her way of dumping guilt on me, one last time. I folded it up, placed it back in the envelope, and tucked it away in a drawer. Not to hold on to the pain, but to remind myself how far I'd come. She left me for a lie, built her life on betrayal, and I walked away free.